Mic check, mic check. What's going on, guys? Just getting everything set up here. Oh, damn, you guys are already in here. Holy, what's going on? What is happening? Let me just get chat set up for stream. All right, chat is up. Let me pull chat up for myself so I can read it. What's going on, Untouchable Jay? What's going on, Jackson? What's going on, Dylan? What's up, Donnie? What's going on, Mickey? How you guys doing? All right, I think I've got everything set up now. We're just waiting on the fat guy to join. He should be with us soon. Not much, Jackson. Just enjoying the early game. Untouchable, how was your day? I'm pissed. Thanks for asking. 7-7 on the day for picks, but a bit worse on bets. A few that I didn't bet ended up going the way I thought they would. Oh, that sucks. Why are you pissed? Actually, I think I'm 8-6 in the contest. Eagles and my betting and fantasy day. Oh, yeah, the contest. Ha. Shit show. I like Green Bay tonight, though. I got the Saints -3. Good boy, says Dylan. I've taken them 2 out of the first 3 weeks, Dylan. Rare for me. I'm just kidding. I got NO, but the way my day is going, ... You're due up. Don't say that. Donnie, you took the over 52. Mickey Hill says hello. I ended up getting the Saints at -3.5. I was just looking at the market factors. And 36% of bettors are on the Saints, but 57% of the money is on the Saints. So I like that. I don't like it. It's been a reverse line movement. So Packers were +6.5 down to +3 at Point Bet, New Jersey. And a couple other books. But I took the Saints just because of the market plays. It's not super strong because of the line movement, but what the hell? We get a couple points. MVS over 3.5 receptions. All right, kickoff's about to start here. Looks like the Saints are going to receive. Aaron Jones over 3 receptions, as well as the line currently Saints -3.5. I got it early at 3. Yeah, it was -3.5 at +102. So I was thinking about taking the 3 points instead, but the 3 points was -118. So I'm just going to roll with 3.5 with the positive juice. And an average return to start the game. Saints will start with the ball at the 25. You got Packers in the contest, but you don't feel good about it. What was the line in the contest? It was 3.5 as well. And the fat guy and I have New Orleans in the contest as well. So Seattle covered. Let me just update. Saints 2nd and 6. Kamara gets tripped up in the backfield for a short gain. So it looks like the Saints were stopped short. All right, it looks like Fat Guy is just about to join. Hey, Fat Guy.
Well, hello. We had a great day today.
Yeah, it's been good. Saints started off with a 3-and-out, but now Green Bay's going to get the ball.
Just getting situated. Just give me 1 sec.
Oh, my mic is low? Okay, I'll turn my mic up. It should be better now. I probably turned it up a little bit too much. I think that should be good. Does that sound good, Untouchable Jay?
That always sounds good.
The Eagles didn't play well today, that's for sure. Eventually, you just can't be using injuries as an excuse. There's lots of other teams that have injuries and they still play respectably, so I'm not sure about the Eagles on offense. All right, cool.
Well, am I missing something? There we go. There we go. Jackson has the right idea. They're never as bad. They're never as good.
Yeah.
It's hard watching the Seahawks. Like, it's almost devastating. Like, you know it's going to happen. Like, every little play. Like, it's just anything bad that can happen if you bet against them will happen.
Yeah, today was another one of those days.
Yeah, tough one.
Don't. What's going on, John Stacy? He says, "Don't be scared to put some bass in your voice, Big Rye."
Like I think Quinn's lifeline has got to be running out, and him and Gase. I'm wondering who's going to go first. I'm in a coaches to be fired pool, and I don't have either of those guys, and I'm regretting it. Let's say.
I think both of them should be gone. It's been just terrible what they've done so far to start the season, and Gase at least has like a terrible roster, but I'm not sure what the excuse is in Atlanta.
No, but that's always the mystery about football. Is the like Haralabob, the best sports gambler you could say ever, they asked him who would be his. He's primarily an NBA bettor. They said who would be his uh, first overall pick and how much would he pay him, and he said Greg Popovich, and he said 45 billion. And let's like, there's no cap on coaches. Like, why don't they take advantage? I don't get it. Like, just go out and get a guy and pay him more money. Like, coaching has more to do with the roster than anything.
Yeah, they even say in hockey that they feel like players are overcoached and they wish that they could just get rid of coaches. Like you'd have coaches for practices and coaches like pregame, but they shouldn't have coaches on the bench.
That's an interesting thought. Jackson, I had the first overall pick in the draft, and I took Matt Patricia to be fired because ineptitude. But that I think that's a mistake in hindsight. Even though I cheated and I kind of looked up the odds as far as coaches getting fired, but traditionally the Lions don't really do that mid-season. So I'm not sure if they did it with Caldwell, but I think that might have been a bad pick.
No, I don't think it was a bad pick. I just think that those other two teams have been worse than people expected. And how could you predict Atlanta would have like double-digit leads in both games and end up losing?
Yeah,
Especially
and
when it's a defensive coach.
I've always hated on Atlanta. Like when I first started betting, they were so inflated and they were such a hype team, and they hurt me in a bunch of times. Um, so like I had like a vendetta, but then once you get mature and it's not really about teams, I just feel they're so like under repped. Like they're like they're an above average team, and like nothing's getting it done. Like I don't know. I almost sympathize with them, which is silly to say, but
Hey Zaps, for this game I've got Saints -3.5. Today was a good day. I went 4-2, so some nice results, some nice underdog wins and covers.
Jim Foster calling the Rams in the Super Bowl. That's a bold prediction. You should take them to play in the or be the NFC Championship if you think that you're gonna get very long odds on the Rams. Not that we dislike them; it's just really hard to do.
What's going on, Jim? Rams were robbed. They're still going to be in Super Bowl against Ravens. Bank it. My ball sack hurts. Oh, shoot. I didn't know what was you. You got killed in fantasy today. Yep. Two of my guys left the game in the first half due to injury, and my quarterback, Streaner, sucked ass. The Rams
Part of the
have
game.
Excellent coaching. They can definitely hang with anybody.
Jim, we agree with you. We think the Rams are undervalued. And to be honest, this loss might actually help their value, like betting on them going forward, because people care more about the result rather than the I guess the actuality of the game.
Well, people would be talking about the Rams as the best team in the league if they won today.
Yeah, which is so silly. It's on a margin. It's on a wire, right?
Yeah.
There we go. Well, you got lucky then, Zaps. Pending on the line, of course.
Yeah, I saw the phantom pass interference. I was indifferent on it. But I didn't have money on that game. I'm sure it would have felt differently either way if I had money on the game. So as a fan, I could see that. Bills are my long shot for Super Bowl, but the AFC is just so stacked. Put my mortgage on the Bills today. I don't think Bills are long shot. They're in my number 5 team. Terrible pass interference call at end of game. How do they make that call? I don't know. They're always looking to make those ticky-tack calls now, it seems like.
I've got a few thoughts on that. Number one, I'm gonna throw some water on Big Rye real quick. He pretends like it would affect him. He is just as robotic in real life as he is on the stream. I can promise you guys that. Has no emotion to wins and losses. I don't even know how I put up with it. That's step one. Number two, like you can go down and you can break any game down to one call this way, that way, but that's just one like iteration of the game. You have to think of it in terms of like, what if the game was simulated 1,000 times, right? Like you can break down certain plays and say, oh, I needed this, that, or the other. Yeah, maybe that was unlucky, but there are other points in the game where they maybe were fortuitous. So yeah, you're not wrong in what you're saying, but you're always counting for what you believe in. So were the Rams the right play over 1,000 samples? That's the real question, and I can't actually answer that.
Jim, I have no clue how Dan Quinn has his job. I thought he'd be fired after the last game, and this game it was like a double gut punch. Like I don't even know how that's possible, but it wasn't quite as bad as the Dallas game, but it was definitely not good. I don't think Nicholas Dye is here, Untouchable J, at the moment. Jackson, who are you referring to when you say they're a decent bet? Are you talking about the Bills?
Well, losing a reputation, I would imagine he's talking about the Bills.
Yeah,
I
that's yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. As far as the emotional aspect, Jim, like you're not wrong. Like you're completely on par. It's just like I said, it's just an iteration of the game, And that's part of football, though. That's why we like it. Like Big Ryan and I bet on lots of different stuff, but football I find the most encapsulating because it has those emotional highs, and you get invested, right? And I get invested in just a good game, a game that is like good to watch, and that was one of them. It is unfortunate. So, but I think people are sleeping on the Rams. The other team I think that's secretly good, and I said this last week, is the Pats. I think the Pats are secretly a really strong team.
Well, the Pats, I think, are a playoff team. The problem with the Pats is if they have to play like Baltimore, Kansas City, like it's just going to be hard for them to actually make or win the Super Bowl.
Oh, nice run. I wouldn't agree with that, Jim. I think they're down on the Pats. I think this is the only time ever I've said this. They're sneaky underrated. So Eric agrees with me that the nerd in the ivory tower does need to be observed while gambling. Yeah, he's got ice in his veins. I will tell you right from firsthand example. I'm not a big reactor, even though it looks like I am. That guy has ice in his veins, and we haven't mastered anything. Everything's a learning process. We look at data and look at us. Like Big Ryan and I couldn't really have a worse first 3 weeks than we have. I do like that game there by I think it was Kamara.
Yeah, Kamara with a big chunk, like 30, 40 yards.
Jackson, you don't have to be grammar perfect. Some Joe Biden slippage, malpropriisms are allowed. Think about every video. How many mistakes do I make? It's like mind-boggling. I'd say variance, Jim. To be perfectly honest, like there's going to be waves, and there's going to be high, like good waves and bad waves, And yeah, you could say crowd noise and then, maybe lack of a home field, but like there are going to be, highs. Like the public has to win sometimes.
Also, just the rule changes have made the game more offensive. I think there's also been a shift in the thinking of coaches. Like coaches are a lot more willing to go for it on fourth downs than they used to be. Remember like 10 years ago how conservative teams would be? It'd be like fourth and inches and they'd always punt. Like it would
Yeah.
literally have to be like fourth and a foot for teams to go for it. And now it can be like fourth and 7 and teams will line up or at least try different things.
Well, Zap, sometimes you lose, and that was brutal. Like it's oh god, that was so bad. Eric says when we do bad when the public does well. Yeah, yeah, that's standard. If the public wins, I am hugely in the hole.
Jackson, it's funny when you do bet a team that you don't usually bet and you're just like naturally hate them. On the opposite of that, that's why the fat guy and I like the Browns because we had to bet them every single week for years. Oh, the Jets gave up hope like on the third play of the first game. Talk about a team without a purpose. Eric said last week the nerd had Cleveland. The week before, I think it was Houston, but he lost. The nerd bets by not changing spreads that have public support or changing to further promote that support. I'm not familiar with the nerd. Eric, who's the nerd? The Lions shut Mickey up about the Cardinals. Do you have your own book? Who do you guys play through? We play through Pinnacle Sports. But the fat guy, he'll do his own little bets. He's not a book at all, but he'll play with people that he meets. This year's contest is looking sharp, yeah, so far.
Dylan's pretty active considering how I don't know, confident he was or strident, is that the word? With the Raiders, or sorry, the Saints on Monday against the Raiders, and that I don't know, that 15% came in.
He was making up excuses too that Michael Thomas didn't play.
Oh,
I
so
want to know
boring.
what the percentage would have been if Michael Thomas played.
Oh, right, yes. Yeah, that would have made all the difference.
What's up,
How we're not
Detroit
big
one time?
parlay fans, Isaiah. I mean, uh, don't necessarily go with our picks. Just go with gives you the least amount of regret.
Detroit one time. How'd you feel about the Lions game today? Zaps was very impressed by the Panthers win. The Panthers are an underrated team.
I tend to agree with Jim. I'm not a believer in the Bears, but 3-0 is 3-0. I mean, you can't deny the record,
I think the Bears
especially
are
with
going to be respectable under Nick Foles. Like, it was a
that.
completely different team when he came in.
That's not a bad statement. And then even Dylan's backing that up. Nick Foles is underrated. Yeah, yeah, but they were under Mitch Trubisky up until what, halfway through that game.
How about Big Dick Nick? I forgot about that. I'm surprised at how bad Murray looked. He's still a young quarterback. Like he's not quite in that upper echelon, but he's definitely has the potential to become, Russell Wilson-esque, and that's very, very high praise for Kyler Murray. But
His
he's not
touch
there
pass,
yet.
his touch pass touchdown, I think it was to Isabella. The first one was very good.
Hey, what's up, Richard? How you doing? Well, it's funny that, like, I agree, Dylan. I think he should have started Nick Foles. I just think Nick Foles is a better player than Mitchell Trubisky, and they're still 3-0. Even with Trubisky getting all 3 starts, he obviously didn't finish today, but they're 3-0 still.
Well, that could have been big. Nice play was Anzalone. Got to be with the long hair.
I took the Eagles -6.5. I teased it down to -1, and they go out there and tie the game. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, Murray cost me a few shekels. That's too bad, Zaps. I kind of like Tennessee -1.5 against the Steelers. Do you guys think that line will stay there, or will it move substantially? I think it'll be somewhere around there, somewhere between 2.5 and 2.5. Either way.
The key number is 3. I don't think it's getting there, so it's not like a huge danger either way. We've been really wrong though as far as like predicting some of these lines. Like we've been on the bad side of it. Most of that's my fault. I'll take full credit for it, but I mean, I don't know. Sometimes it's tough. It's a different year. We've been doing the video a little bit earlier, and with the line coming out so quickly, I still don't think you're in danger of the 3. The -3 is the kill number though.
You need Lamar and Ingram to go off tomorrow. You can't afford 0-3. You're definitely live. I think you're the favorite to win, Michigan. I like the Steelers in that one. They would have lost if he stayed today. That's for sure. It's a good thing I don't rely on my picks to make money. I tell you that. 20-0 quarter.
I think that's a horse collar. It's got to be. Nope. There we go.
Jamal Williams looks lighter this year. There's something fishy about the Mitch benching. They were only down 6. I just don't think he played very well. And I think Foles gives them a better chance at coming back in games than Trubisky does. Trubisky actually might be the better choice if they're ahead, strangely enough. You think the same game goes over 52? I'm always going to tend to lean towards the under. I'm not sure what the over-under was for this game. Eric said, I think the reason the fat guy does not like parlays is because there were Canadian casinos that only accepted parlay bets. I found Canadians hate parlays because of this. We hate parlays because of the payouts. The payouts are just negative. Doesn't matter if you can pick. You have to pick at like 70% to break even on a parlay. So I don't know anyone that can pick at 70%.
Unless you're like a home run shooting, like you're making a lottery pick, which is, it is what it is. We have a friend that's really, really good at handicapping MMA, and pretty much every event he'll send us a huge parlay where he got like 6 of 7 or something of that nature. And it's always the same story. It's always one short, where he'd be way better off just betting straight up.
Yeah, on average, he'd be up 4 units instead of -1. So would you rather win 4 units each time, or would you rather lose 1 each time? I'm going to lean to the under 52, Jim. But I've been historically poor at over-unders. I think the public is jumping on the Steelers early. I might wait a bit to see if the percentages stay uneven, but if it stays there, I really like Tennessee. I don't have a strong feeling either way for that game. They're both good teams. They're both coached well. There's not much a home field advantage, so the bookmaker actually thinks Tennessee is just slightly better than Pittsburgh. Nice run from Rodgers for the first down on 3rd and 12. Next week, Eric is making me die laughing. LOL, the nerd. Titans defense let me down compared to Browns defense. Yeah, the defenses can be hard to predict for fantasy unless you got like a real home run versus like a really good defense against like a rookie QB. Like if you can play against the Jets each week. I agree. I hate people claiming they win parlays. I just know they are lying. Oh, people definitely win parlays.
They're lottery winners.
You just don't hear about all of the losses for parlays. You hear a lot of the I was one away. You know, same thing as the lottery, right? If you need 7 numbers, oh, I had 6 numbers. It's very, very difficult to. Thank you.
We put it up very often, that link to the Nevada gaming ROI on on bets. And the one me and Big Ry are always fascinated with is like there's a 30+% ROI on parlays. Like there's a reason, like generally it's a sucker's bet. I'll give you that though. Like if you get a true 4-1 on a 2-team parlay, like that's okay. I can get behind that. It's just higher variance, but generally speaking, it's really bad. They're usually bad.
The Jim says it's ridiculous they make coaches wear masks. Everyone is tested. What a farce. It is very strange that like none of the players have to wear them, but the coaches do. Because I'm assuming that they all get tested the same. Like I don't know how many people the coach has to deal with who are like more likely to have the virus than others, but it doesn't really make sense. Especially because every coach has to take their mask off to yell at whatever they want to yell at. Like, unless they can give them some sort of way to, like, have a microphone and, like, speakers, it doesn't really make sense. I could live with it. Yeah, even a bullhorn type of thing. I could live with a 2-team parlay because it's, like, letting a bet ride. Yeah. You're always going to be losing juice every time you bet a parlay. That's just how they're set up. Rye's lucky that Josh Allen got him the 5th touchdown. I was very, very lucky. Josh Allen's been excellent fantasy quarterback to start the year. I've got something to throw out there, fat guy, that I was thinking. But I think that Josh Allen is an early candidate for MVP.
I think so far that's probably fair. Who are the guys competing with him?
Well, it's always going to be like Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, Russell Wilson, him.
Yeah, but those guys haven't even been good statistically. I'd say it's really only Wilson, and that's all I got so far.
It's still way too early to say, but to me, that's just how well he's played. And he hasn't been perfect either. He's got a lot of room for improvement, or a lot more room for consistency, I guess I could say.
Yeah, I mean, he's so talented though, and good for the Bills to get a little bit of run good because this could have gone a totally different way, but they're in the driver's seat. They're actually winning for once. Them winning the division would be kind of nice almost.
Eric said, "Thanks, Dylan. I still advise against shaving your eyebrows because people would think you're avoiding drug screening if you combine it with no hair." That made me laugh. Factor out the home field advantage anymore except when there is cross-country travel. I think that's fair, Jay. True odds are only with 3-teamers, not 2-teamers. The odds are better with 3-teamers, but you're still never going to get true odds. Well, I shouldn't say you're never going to get true odds. There might be books out there, but I haven't seen it. I think the parlay is what keeps the books ahead. That's what makes the books all their money. Or it's like a majority of their money. Probably 60-70% of their money comes from parlays. Hopefully this virus sham is going to end soon anyways. Yeah, hopefully, Jim. I still do parlays when both pays minus 235 or worse. Wilson's going to win MVP easily, unfortunately. This is another reason I think the fat guy would do better at basketball. It's easier to arrange a wager to move to 100 to plus 150. Unfortunately, he's carrying a pretty mediocre roster to a top tier team. Kamara will win MVP. That's very unlikely, Dylan. I'm hearing that traveling is more difficult this year. I 100% agree, Eric, that it's probably a lot more difficult to travel. I have no clue how they are traveling.
That's an interesting point in itself. Flights within Canada where we are actually pretty reasonable right now. So, I mean, is there less travel? Is that the reason why? I'm not actually sure.
I'm just going to take a little break from the mic to eat. I don't know.
Jim,
I'd
I don't
probably
know.
set the over-under at like 49.5.
Yeah. There you go. There's a line.
And ironically, it was probably like 4 or 5 players that had a majority of those.
I always kind of get sad though about athletes and their spending habits. I was never responsible chap growing up, but I mean, and as I get in my elder years, it's I don't know. You're only gonna make that money once, and it goes real quick. I kind of hope Denver somehow rallies against the Lakers, unless it's already somehow over.
It's
Was it
done.
Game 5 last night? Was it?
Lakers won the series.
Oh, they won last night. I didn't see that game. No, absolutely, Jim. My brother-in-law was a practice squad player in the NFL for 2 years, 1.5 years roughly, and he banked all the money and bought my sister a house. And I can't blame him for it. It was a smart move, and he believe me, he wasn't jazzed about being a practice squad player. It's very violent. It's very competitive. Yeah, Lakers. It's unfortunate. Well, Packers looks like they're gonna set up for a field goal. No, way less than that, Jim. Especially in the old days. I think he made like 6,500 or 7,000 a week. It was something like that. Still a lot of money, but like you're only I think you're only active for I think 20 weeks. I think that's what it is. So yeah, he might have made in total. He might have made a quarter million. He might have made 225, something like that. So. Well, Eric, looking good so far. 13.
In 2020, they reported that uh, practice squad players on average make $8,400 per week.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I know he made less than that, but I'm not quite sure on the numbers. I don't know, Zaps. I feel like I don't know. I'm just off the pulse to be honest, because some of the like I don't know. I'm falling for the romance of it almost looks too good to be true, and I've been wrong on the wrong side of the coin too many times this year. But going forward, it should level out just a little bit. Casey under 26.5 points. I don't know. I don't have an opinion either way on that. I just want to be a football fan tomorrow. KC Baltimore. It should hopefully it's the game of the year.
Answer Clever Pun has got a crazy record right now, 33-12.
Yikes. 17-game league. Like how? Oh, that's so like it's 3 weeks. Like how good is that? Nice play by Jerry Alexander.
Jim Foster, I think the answer is not Yao Ming. Jim, if you believe the hands tell, that would be Mr. Leonard of the Clippers, the Claw.
This is an interesting fumble. Like the line of a real heads up play. Low snap too.
Okay, I should be back to a normal level now. Biggest Schlong is Taco Fall. Dylan's done his research.
I mean, he can't be like that's. He can't be that far off. It's most likely. No, we're just doing from a probability standpoint.
We have this conversation pretty often. You always say Matthew Dellavedova.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Maddie.
Oh, Jim Foster one upped us. Steve Kerr.
Him and Danny Ainge.
I bet you Danny Ainge has a tiny penis, but two humongous balls.
Well, you'd have to. You'd have to be Danny Ainge.
I know one of our favorite NBA clips is when Danny Ainge lost it and chucked the ball at the guy. Can't remember who he threw it at.
He
It's
threw it at,
7-6 New Orleans.
was someone on the Rockets. I can't remember exactly.
It wasn't Olajuwon, right? It was.
No,
I
it was
think.
another guy. No, it was not Shaq.
We'll even out Jackson over time. Kevin McHale was hung like a light switch. I'm enjoying thinking about all the NBA penises over the years. Didn't
He's a
some guy
big
throw
Rye
the
fan.
ball at Shaq? I'm sure someone's thrown a ball at Shaq over at some time.
Oddly enough, the truth is Big Rye was a far better basketball player than I was.
Oh, the video title here says accidentally hits Ellie in the head. So is
Oh,
Mario
Mario
Ellie.
Allen. Yeah, there you go.
Because this is so good, I'm going to pull it up and show it on stream. Okay, ready for this?
Unreal.
Oh, let's get one more replay of it. Oh, oh that's not something you see every day. What a catch.
Unreal.
Yeah,
Big
Manu
Rye
Bol
is definitely a bowl cut type of guy.
finally had the balls to use Browns in Survivor this week. Congrats, Zaps. I have to guess they're all do their height and athleticism. Manu Bowles was 16 and a half, 16 long and half-inch girth.
That's a bad boy. What can you do? I love Stock. He was a Gonzaga boy.
I don't think you can use my name and dangerous in the same sentence to describe me.
Yeah. Well,
The only place that I'd be dangerous is in an all-female prison. Danny Ainge is basically the pre-Jordan shooting guard. John Stockton has an absolute hammer, though. Any football score updates? 7-6, but the Packers just scored a touchdown. So it is now 7-12 or 12-7 for the Packers.
I like the announcing of that one.
Jim, not only would I be brave enough, I think I'd have to pay a lot of money. And Fat Guy is the guy that sits under the basket and always yells foul. The big J Dog. What's going on, Ryan?
Jay's making a characterization, but I mean, you know, I'm lazy enough now where that's possible. But back in the day, I was always the dirty one in athletics. So, I was the guy punching people in the dick and stuff like that. But I mean, teach their own.
It's mid second quarter.
Basketball is a good athleticism reality check. I'm 6'6", and in my entire life, there was about 6 months where I could actually dunk. And then you watch people like on TV, and you're like, how is it so easy for that guy? And like I had to train. I was, only 180 pounds, 100 pounds less than I am now, and flawlessly you watch people way shorter than I am easily dunk, and I could barely do it. So there is a big gap in athleticism between the NBA and the common man.
I think Fear the Beard is reading our minds because he just said the fat guy was a Bill Lambier disciple.
Oh,
Nice.
easy, easy.
Bill Lambier is
There's a
one of our
Lambier. It was
favorite players of all time.
there's a little secret. Fear the beard. Uh, Big Ryan and I were not were we are very good at NBA Jam. The last one, and one of our favorite teams, if not our favorite, was Lambier and Isaiah Thomas. Oddly enough, Big Rye would be Lambier and I'd be Thomas.
Yeah, John will be shooting the video tonight. Eric, fat guy was not a hockey player. He was mostly a soccer player.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, serious question. What would Vegas set the line at for over under inches of NBA schlong? I'd say probably 7.5.
No, that's crazy. It'd be like 6.8 on the average one. You get like 6.8. Yeah, that's about right.
When was the last time you shot a basketball?
Good question. Good question. Big Rye, can you feel that one?
I'm trying to think when the last time I shot a
It would have been your
basketball.
backyard for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Maybe
say two.
not. Maybe probably we did it last year. Probably like 8 months,
Maybe.
9 months.
Yeah.
Uh, Zap said 6.5. Eric said, when fat guy plays hockey, he probably doesn't notice the puck. Yeah, you're white.
I,
That's
I
why.
never played. I never played hockey. We,
Hey,
we used to have road hockey. Like it was a big deal out here because we're in West Coast Canada, and I was always the goalie. Oddly enough, I wasn't bad at it either, but I would run out of the net just to cream guys. That's more what I was interested in, the Bill Lambier aspect, or we'll call it Eddie Belfour or Ron Hextall if you prefer.
I also have a poster of a Jared in my room, but hey, I'm just a huge Subway fan. Think about the Hanson brothers playing soccer. That's what the fat guy's like.
Well, not that bad, but yes, yeah, the Charleston Chiefs.
So it's 13-7 Packers. 10 minutes left and 32 seconds in this second quarter. Dylan Toddfield would let Shaq do a lot of things to him. Cream pie is definitely a possibility for DT himself.
Well, his initials are DTF, so
Dylan has a respectable week this week at 9-5.
good for him. Great for him. Yes, Jay, I am 6'6". Rough pace for me. Yeah, but we're not exactly lighting it up. Offensive PI, that's so rare. Taysom Hill too. What's the largest wager you ever put on one game? Um, we usually don't like divulging that information, but I there was there's one bad where I don't mind, and it is the most I've ever put on something. The Mayweather McGregor fight. I thought it was a once in a lifetime type thing. So it opened at minus 25,000 for McGregor, or sorry, for
Probably
Mayweather.
minus 2,500, you say? I don't think it was 25,000.
Sorry, 2,500. I don't want to say 25,000. Yeah, 2,500. And I think I bet a lot of money on that, and I kept betting it all the way down to like minus 300. I think that was what it closed at, and I think in total on that bet, I think I bet 35,000, and that's the most I bet ever on anything. And that was the first three rounds was very scary for me. So, and the bar I was at, I took the action from everybody in the bar. So, yeah, I was a little nervous, even though I thought it was a once in a lifetime thing, and it happened to work out for me. What's the most points I've laid? That's a great question. That's a great question. I can't imagine I've laid more than 14 ever. I'd refuse to do it. There's a chance there's 13 and a half in the old days, but I can't recall off the top of my head. I'm gonna say 13 and a half.
I'd say 13 and a half. I don't remember a time where we've taken anything higher than
10
that.
years. There's no way. There's
Because
no way.
it really, like, the Jets could play the Chiefs tomorrow, and if it's 14 or more, we're taking the Jets.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's just how it is. I don't care how bad the Jets look. I don't care how good the Chiefs look. That's
Jim, I think it paid around 4 grand because I got like really bad line. I mean, really bad early lines on some of them. But when I was at the bar I was at, I was offering like 2 to 1 on McGregor, and people were still taking it. So that kind of like gave me a better ROI on those types of bets. But yeah, I'm gonna say maybe 4K about that much, which isn't a lot considering how much.
Zivona made a good point. Said usually when it's reasonable to lay 13, the line would be more closer to 17. Yeah, Eric, I'd prefer to do the two corner setup as well, but with how things are right now, like, we make our videos through Zoom, and you just don't have that much customization in Zoom. You're crazy to bet that fight. It could have easily been a setup. That's always a possibility. That's why it's never 100%. I
Yeah,
almost bet
absolutely.
$500 on Serena Williams. I would have won $100. I was lucky to change my mind. It was the day she had the meltdown against the Japanese woman. I had a decent amount on Osaka that day. LOL. I've never reached the point where I've decided to bet women's tennis. So you guys are a whole nother level of degenerate.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It's been a good weekend for me. UFC, NFL, it's been all
Yes.
positive. Although one thing I've noticed is that the public is willing to take the points with the Dolphins. People like the Dolphins right now. They're running hot.
It's probably gonna flip. The Dolphins look great on Thursday. That was I People hated on that game. I enjoyed it. Fitzpatrick is fun to watch. Like, he's a high variance player. I had this theory last year, kind of like with Winston, like spreads almost don't matter. Like, you just take money line because Winston can lose by a ton or he can win. And Fitzpatrick's, I think, a less risky but similar version. And he had a great game.
The I don't know if I agree with they won't touch the Jags. I feel like people are on the Jags more than the Dolphins on Thursday night. But I know what you mean. There's teams like the Jets that well, people actually were betting the Jets today. That's a game I left alone because it was kind of split evenly. But you're definitely right. There's always going to be like teams that are really low or really high on people's lists that either they don't bet or they bet a lot. Nice, Zaps. Yeah, the Dolphins game was really nice on Thursday. I was happy with that game. It's so rare that you get out big early and you can just relax. It was a nice change. I found when I target a team that's overhyped, I get them on the rebound. That's always a good strategy. Yeah, the Jags last year for sure is it. For sure. I think the public's against the Dolphins against Seattle this week. If it goes to 7.5 with decent juice, that's a nice game. Is it in Miami or in Seattle? You guys are always way ahead of these games than Fat Guy and I are. We haven't even played Monday night's game yet. You're already looking at next week, which is what we do with the video anyways.
Oh, Cincy, every game I couldn't help it. They didn't cover very much, so let's be real.
I can't remember who we picked in the contest, but percentage-wise, I think Baltimore is the play to make. Let me just check the contest. In the contest, we took Kansas City +3, but right now the Ravens are -3.5 point favorites. Only 32% of bettors are on the Ravens, and 55% of the money is on the Ravens. So if the game was to start right now, I would put 1 unit on the Ravens. But in the contest, we took the Chiefs because I think we expected that line to move differently during the week and for people to bet differently.
Went the other way, though. Like, it's so rare to get the Chiefs and points. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You should just like that game as a football fan. Let's be real, though. 49ers did do well ATS last year, very well, because they were kind of unheralded too. Like they went below expectations the year before, and then last year, obviously, they blew the doors off.
Jackson, if they've set that line at 7.5 and it's in Miami, it feels like a little bit of a trap to get people to take Miami. I actually think the books like Seattle to cover in that game, because even at 7 or 6.5, it sounds so strange, but I'd actually be more confident in Miami. But at 7.5, like that's just a fishy line to me.
Zaps is incorporating a little bit of Yiddish in his vocab. I didn't know I was dropping the shekels line often, but I mean, once in a while, Not that I'm an observant practicer of Judaism. I'm Greek, so we kind of missed the boat on that. The language is a little bit fun, at least. You guys see Uncut Gems, that being said?
This year, I think the Browns' offense is overhyped. Go against them and unders. Well, it's a run-heavy offense. It's funny how Odell Beckham is clearly not even in the top 2 best skill position players on that team. I find that very funny.
He had a really good pass defense play, though, this last game. I'll give him that. It's probably the best play I've seen him as a Brown, batting an interception out of the DB's hands.
I prefer the points as well, Zit. I just think it's 7.5. Like, if I had to guess bet percentage split-wise, it's going to be closer to 50-50. Whereas if it's 6.5, I could see it being 70-30. Zid, I can't remember what the 49ers against the spread record was last year. Do you agree the book likes a team when the wagering is heavy against a team, but there is either no movement or the line moves as if the public is wagering? 100%.
Anytime the book takes a little bit of risk, it's usually a good indicator, and we usually like backing that. It doesn't always work out, but it's a few added percentage points. At least we think so.
That's why this 7.5 stuff is very interesting, because to me that game in Miami, if Seattle's 7.5 point favorites, it tells me that the book doesn't want to be risky on Seattle. Like, imagine if that line opened at Seattle -3 in Miami, like everybody and their uncle is going to be betting Seattle. And if that opens at 10.5, everybody's betting the Dolphins. But at 7.5, it's like you can, like even Zit said, Seattle's a good team, so they could definitely cover. It really makes you think. So they're essentially making that game a coin flip. And see, it opened at
JS7
6.5. So
JS715 spoiling the end of Uncut Gems. Oh, very good movie in my opinion.
what's Mickey's name in contest? I think this week it was The Crowd. So he went 9-5 this week. Overall, though, I'm not sure what his handle is. I agree, the book knows. I don't think so much that they know. It's just you can essentially set a line. Like this is how easy it is, Eric. You could get 10 stupid dudes in a room, and you could just say, which side would you take if the line's 6? And if 8 of them say one and 2 of them say the other, then they go, how about it's 7? And then if it's still 8 and 2, then they go, how about 8? And then if it's 5 and 5, then they go, okay, let's set the line at 8. Like it's not like I don't think it's like that much science behind it that you think. Like it's more just to set it to get even betting on both sides. Like to me, the Tennessee Pittsburgh line next week, if it's at 1.5 either way, I don't have a good feeling about either side. But the second hits 3 on either side, like I'm just gonna take the other team because I feel like they're pretty even. Get San Fran -6 now. Who do they play next week, Jay, and where? Like the fat guy says, it's someone's full-time job. I call him the nerd in the ivory tower. At some point, you just take the points and say, prove it. Yeah, you're right, Zit. Like if gun to my head, you have to choose. Like it doesn't matter if that line's 6.5, 7.5, 9. Like we're always going to take Miami in the points. You don't think it's held by someone who has invested a lot of time and beat out a lot of other people for the job? I don't think so. There's way more work put, like, to be honest, there's only a couple books that put out lines early, and they put out lines with low betting totals. So even if a shark wants to go in there and wants to bet $5,000 on a spread on Sunday night or Monday morning, when they actually release like the full amount that you can bet on like a Wednesday or Thursday, like that line's already adjusted to be where they want it to be at. So you can't even take advantage of the early lines because the early lines, they don't let you bet as much. So essentially, Eric, they just take those early bets and they use that to help set the line where they want to actually set it. Dylan, that's something we agree with every week. You look forward to reading the hate comments that we get.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well, by this point, it's great. I don't mind it at all. And you're like we're supposed to disagree. I want to be wrong. We're more vested in the contest almost more than anything. We want competition. We want people to be wrong, people to be right, voice opinions, learn together. Because we're not the beacon of hope as far as picking. What we say, we're going to make mistakes. Everyone is too, though. But we have to learn together. We have to raise the average. And the BRFG group has done pretty well as far as averages are concerned.
Eric, it's hard to find people that bet over 55%.
Very rare.
Why do you like his hate comments, Zed? I've never read his comments. Big Rye, the public really likes Seattle every week. Will they really take Miami if it goes from 6.5 to 7.5? It seems like a relatively small movement to a square. I know it's more important though. I think that it does make a difference. Because it's a touchdown, right? Like, people know what a touchdown is, no matter how sharp or square you are. I do a lot of motorsports betting, too, and not doing so well in NASCAR tonight. Oh, sorry to hear that, Corey. Coach speak, LOL. You had them last year.
Oh, I was so close to being blocked. Who doesn't like a special teams play? That would have been great. Decent return, though, by the Saints here.
Oh, that's good, Zit. I had a friend comment on how much they liked one of our early videos, and I was watching it over, and I can't believe how much effort we put into just clowning people who left comments that didn't turn out how they thought they'd turn out. It was actually quite funny. I'm a lot lazier now when it comes to putting out videos, so I don't put quite as much effort into, Googling 30 pictures and putting them into the video. Yeah, Corey, that's why they take those live bets. If there's a lot of offenses that just do whatever the defense dictates, and if they're going to sit back with like 7 guys in a zone 10 yards off the line of scrimmage, then you might as well run the ball. No question, having someone read the public as well as you guys are an advantage. Yeah. It's nice to be able to just like, you need to like put yourself in the mind of like a public bettor. Like, think about your friends, or you might have a family member that they know enough about football where it's like, oh, if the Chiefs are playing anyone, they're going to take the Chiefs. Like, if the Patriots are playing someone, they're going to take the Patriots. Like, you want a friend like that, right? It's a really good way of judging where, like, at what point is Dylan going to take the Packers tonight? Once again, I don't know how the Falcons and Jets can try and prove they're trying to win if they keep these same coaches. I knew when Foles came in there was trouble. Who hears Chase and Daniels FFL asking for a friend? Dylan is, Mickey is. I'd have to look at the whole list. Who's in that league?
Going back to what Eric said, there's a quote from I'd say a fun gambling book I like. It's not necessarily informational, if that's even a word, but it's Amarillo Slim in a World Full of Fat People. And he basically says when he's picking a spread pick, he goes to the local bar and he does a poll like, who do people like? And he just goes against the consensus. That's a really basic way of putting it, but that always put a seed in my brain as far as contrarian theory.
Sack from the Packers.
I'll follow up with Jackson. It is a good point. Dylan, at what point would you take the Packers? 6. Okay, Dylan has changed a lot, ladies and gentlemen, because 2 years ago Dylan would say 14. I can promise you that. 6 is different. That is almost shrewd. So that's very interesting, to say the least.
It's also tough because this game has started. I doubt Dylan's answer would have been 6 at the start of the game compared to how it is now. Yeah, Dan Quinn's... I think the fat guy and I agree, Corey, that I think Dan Quinn's time's up. It's I think he'd be a valuable defensive coordinator, or at least deserves a shot at being a defensive coordinator again. He did an excellent job in Seattle before going to Atlanta, but as a head coach, he just doesn't seem to have his finger on the pulse of that team anymore. Well, Dylan says it still would have been 6. What's funny is to win, you have to accept red lights. What do you mean by that, Eric?
I'll be back momentarily.
Sounds good. My reasoning, Eric, is that roster sucks. The roster sucks. The coaching sucks. I don't know what the Jets are doing. There's been no progression from Darnold. Like, Darnold still looks like a rookie. Dylan, regardless of this game, assuming no major injuries, what should the Saints Lions line be? I'm guessing that's in Detroit. Wonder what happened to Crimea River, that lady that end with us last year. Not sure. Meaning you see something that is against you, wager you have to walk away. Yeah, Eric, definitely. Maybe died of the virus. It's always a possibility, Dylan. An example, sometimes I like to a bet, but I see the public loves. Yeah, Eric. What's going on, Tyrell? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Darnold looks absolutely terrible, yeah. Well, like, that offense that team just looks bad. Saints will probably be 7.5, but really should be 10.5. I'm just not impressed with Darnold. When I go through like that of ranking all the starting quarterbacks, I feel the same way about Darnold. That I forget who it was. Oh, Derek Carr. Just have them surprisingly low. That guy just stepped away. I'm guessing he's grabbing a snack or taking a bathroom break, but he'll be back soon. Trubisky will go to Jets. I think that would be a disaster for Trubisky and for Gase if he went to the Jets. They're only minus 5.5 now, and this game probably shouldn't swing it that much either way, given that the Packers and Saints are so similar talent-wise. So that's an interesting line, Jackson, because a lot of people, like, it still depends on how this game goes, but I could see a lot of people betting the Saints if it's at 5.5. That feels like a good time to take the Lions. It's good to hear, Tyrell. Was the fat guy in the Bloodhounds video a Ballard to Casey? You'd have to ask him. I don't know about his whereabouts. Mickey's just chilling. So 57 seconds left in the second quarter. Saints still have 2 timeouts. And it's 3rd and 6.
How often do you get to root for the Saints? Let's roll.
Packers bring the blitz. Traquan Smith with the first down catch.
We're enjoying our Sunday, Terrell. It's been fun so far. A little bit rough in certain spots, but
Big Rye, is it not better to wait and take the Lions? Like more of the public would take them at plus 7.5, but that's a much better line as it crosses key numbers. That's where you kind of have to have your feeling as what's more important to you to get a good line or to know like where the public's betting and where the lines are getting pushed.
there's also there's congruency between like juice and line, for instance. Like, if you're paying a small amount of juice for a smaller number, that might be better as far as win rate, than paying larger juice with a larger number. It's we have a couple of charts, which I think we have your email. We'll somehow get them to you at some point that highlight that fact. I mean, I like paying less juice, the better, obviously, but it's so hard to predict exactly where the best buy spot is. Harris is so tiny. Was he $160?
The Saints got lucky there because their left guard jumped early on the last play. 20 seconds left in the quarter. Saints are 1st and 10.
Oh, it's standard, Mickey. There's way less science to it. It's just they're underrated. Like, they've underperformed, so the line didn't, truly reflect how that game actually was. So
100%, Eric. We make our picks now when we essentially have to guess what the market is going to be, and we're not always right. Like, we're right more than we're wrong, but we're not always right. So we make our picks, like we're going to make our picks tonight when we look at the schedule, and we're not going to actually, like, I don't bet until literally 10 minutes before the game. The Cowboys played well today. Like, they played tough. Like, it's not easy to go into Seattle and get a win. And they gave themselves a chance to win. Oh, that game was so frustrating, Mickey. I was right in the contest, but I took the Vikings money line for better juice. Yeah, Jackson. I ended up taking I got lucky today because I took the Bears money line, and I ended up staying on the Vikings +3. And I can't remember the other game. There was another game that was +3. Another early game. It doesn't matter. But I got lucky because the Vikings were one that I was deciding between taking the +3 or taking the money line. So that was a good result. Yeah, a lot of games did come down to the wire today. It was a fun day watching games. Mickey, your net yard per play chart showed Vikings and Titans were practically even, but you don't trust handicapping systems this early. Yeah, it's tough, right? When you're only going off of 2 games of data, and especially it's 2 poor games of data for the Vikings. It's like, how much do you want to trust those numbers? That's the problem with any system, is that the numbers that you're putting in, how much you can trust them. So if you see public is big on a team you're betting against, the juice is -120, would it cause you to walk away? At times, yes. Like if your research is good enough to know that this type of bet is going to win 53% of the time, but at minus 120 juice, you'd have to win at whatever it is. I don't know off the top of my head what minus 120 is.
54 change, I believe.
Yeah, so you'd have to win more than 54% of the time if you're going to put a bet down at minus 120, which is where a lot of people like. It's why you really have to like fight back on making a lot of bets. And places like, I noticed places like Pinnacle are really, really quick to put like minus 120 odds on bets that have like higher probability to win, which makes sense, right? They know what they're doing, but it hurts people like you and I that are waiting for those opportunities. Oh, you got that game at 2.5. That sucks. Titans are going to regress. They haven't covered a spread yet. Well, it's interesting then that they're favorites in Pittsburgh. We are on the Saints tonight at minus 3.5. Third and 2 for the Saints. 9 seconds left. They have no timeouts, so you're going to see Breeze make a throw to the end zone.
Wow.
Touchdown, Emmanuel Sanders.
Wow, Manny, nice job.
And then Emmanuel Sanders has some serious hips. I wonder how big his penis is.
Generally speaking, Mickey, yes. Because, I mean, like, if the juice is high enough, that is a line move in its own right? You know what I mean? So, because that could equal the half point adding too much juice. I'm trying to find, I've been quiet because I've been trying to find that chart I was going to send to Jackson, but I'm just struggling at the moment.
More juice is a good line move indicator, isn't it? It definitely is. And that's why, like, sometimes books won't want to go over key numbers, so instead they'll just juice a line. So it's like Jackson said, they'll keep it at like 6.5 or 7.5, or they'll keep it at 3, but instead of getting it like, you'll get it like +3 minus 120. Or you can get it at +2.5 and it'll be like +102. But usually if you have to buy off of whatever line they have, the juice increases. Like you have to win more. That's why like teasing lines up and down is not usually a good thing to do. Results wise, 2.5 was fine. The Vikes covered it, but I didn't want to take the 2.5 with worse juice. I just took the money line. Jackson, that's the right play to make, and over time you're going to make more money doing that. Unfortunately, it was just not the result you wanted today. Eric said, my under is doomed. I need to stick with basketball. Wow, Dylan, you're really on top of things today. Yeah, Eric, we watch streams off of the internet. So between us watching a stream off the internet and then us streaming onto YouTube, there's always going to be a delay for us to you guys. I do think the key to sports gambling is finding your best sport and ignoring the others. That is harder to do when your sport is not football. It's what it comes down to for me, Eric, is just how much time and effort you're willing to invest into each sport to know. And it doesn't even have to, like, to me, I don't think if you want to be really, really successful sports betting, you don't even need to watch a second of any of these games. Like me watching this game, there's nothing special about me. There's nothing that I'm going to be able to handicap that's better than anybody else. Like, I'm going to watch the Jets and tell you they suck. I'm going to watch the Ravens and tell you they're awesome. But that doesn't actually help me make bets. So the key is like how many uh, betting markets do you want to research and find out? Mickey said that half point hook was the main reason that you took the Packers in the contest, but Packer way overvalued. It could be. It's still too early to like. Who knows what the results are? I think 3.5 is a fine. It's a fine line. I think that's pretty even. I think probably 4. 4 would be the line that I'd pick where it's kind of even. So I don't think there's a ton of value. Jackson, you have a good night. Thanks for burning that midnight oil with us.
Love from Ireland. Thank you for joining us.
It's almost impossible to use subjective judgment to determine if a line is fair. 100% it. Nice. You like to watch live? Hell yeah. It's hard to watch like recorded sports unless you get to flip through the commercials. Mickey said if the Saints win, he's taking me fishing next Saturday. The only thing you're fishing for, Dylan, is compliments.
I've never been fishing. I always wanted to go.
It sucks.
Yeah, okay.
It's so hard to be subjective, Zit, and that's why people lose money gambling. Like, that's the entire premise of why people lose. Net yards per play had Saints at 3, so in that case, there's a little value on the Packers.
Well, if you're going to take a half point from 3 to 3.5, it's got to be number 1.
Mm-hmm. There's also no, limited home field advantage. So, are the Saints a better team than the Packers? If there's no home field advantage, are the Saints 2 wins better than the Packers? No. Dylan has screwed around and built himself.
Slightly, a few percentage points.
Oh, Mickey, I wanted to tell you about the waiver stuff. I remember because you mentioned that you made a waiver claim on stream. And I was going to be like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Because if especially you were 2-0, so you were probably like 10, 11, or 12 on later, Tyrell. Thanks for joining us. So waiver claims are like if Fat Guy are in the league, you're in the league, I'm in the league. If he's in last place and you're in first place, whoever's in last place gets their first choice at any of the waiver claims. So the Fat Guy could pick up Mike Davis. And if he's the first guy and he gets the first pick and he gets Mike Davis, that's just how it is. And so he would get Mike Davis, and then the Fat Guy would move down to the last spot, and you'd go from the 12th spot to the 11th spot. I actually haven't looked at any of the fantasy scores, but are you on your way to a win? Eric said, I meant to say this last time I was here, but I was having PC issues. I think if you are prepared to invest a lot of time in your wagering, baseball is your best bet. You have 3, keep up with relief pitchers. Yeah, baseball's really, really, really tough market-wise because you do have to keep up with all the different pitchers. It's like the only other equivalent would be hockey goalies. I would say definitely make waiver claims. It's just how much you want to. And I think the waiver claims reset each week. So if you're in last place or if you're in first place and you have the last waiver claim, like you're going to continue to have that last waiver claim as long as you're in first place.
You have to be strategic. Waiver is almost the most important thing about fantasy because, like, a team you draft is rarely going to shake out the way you drafted it. There's a lot of moving and shaking.
Oh, damn. 125 points with 3 backups.
That's really good.
Zit, yeah. Quarterback in football, goalies in hockey, pitchers in baseball. Like they all affect the line, and whether they actually affect the line or whether they just the public thinks they affect the line, you have to kind of figure out those things. Like if Aaron Rodgers doesn't start today, there's no way that line stays at 3. I don't even know who the backup is for the Packers at the moment. I'm going to have to look it up. I think it's a rookie, isn't it? Did they draft somebody?
Who's that? Sorry, I was looking at fantasy real quick.
The Packers.
Jordan Love, first round pick.
So if Jordan Love had to start this game, what would the line be for the Saints? It'd probably be like somewhere between 7.5 and 9.5.
Ooh. Mickey put a beat down. 126.8 so far. He started Logan Thomas at tight end. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Eric, what's that Heat series at?
Mickey started Alan Lazard. What a play. That's fantastic.
Holy smokes.
And Rex Burkhead. And Jeff Wilson Jr. Oh, man. What a fan. Oh, that's pretty good. Holy.
The one thing I will say, Mickey, is that there's the big waivers are on Wednesday morning. So you'll have everybody make their picks. But there's a chance that you can save your waiver claim, get that first waiver claim of the people that get dropped on Wednesday, because they go through their own 1 or 2 day waivers. So then on Thursday or Friday, whatever the day is, you can make that pickup. Like, let's say somebody really needs a wide receiver, so they drop, their 7th best running back. You might want that 7th best running back, so you can save your waiver claim and use it on the Friday to grab that guy. So the whole premise behind waivers is once a guy plays a game or gets dropped by another team, everyone gets a fair chance at picking that player up. That way you don't have to be like logging onto your fantasy thing every 5 minutes to see if someone's dropped a guy. And trust me, I've played in leagues where there isn't a waiver system, and it's a disaster because you can just go pick up a player the second they get dropped. And it's a definitely a life ruiner because you're checking to see who the free agents are like every 2 minutes.
And there's a collusion, it's easier to collude, which Big Ryan and I have experienced in past leagues, where someone drops a really good player and then conveniently a contending team picks up that player.
Yeah. Like if Fat Guy had Lamar Jackson and he dropped him and then I picked him up in a minute later, there's probably something going on. Eric, there's a chance. I've been doing research in the background to kind of take all this data from all the different leagues and collect it. The thing for me is just taking the time to collect it and doing the research. It's tough too, Eric, because you can do a ton of research and find things that have worked, but just because you found something that worked, like let's say you can bet every team that had 30% less bets for the last 3 seasons went 55%. There's no guarantee that those same games are going to go 55% the next year. So you kind of have to find things, but at the same time, there's no guaranteed even with using past data, even with markets. Every gambler should scout his betting skills, and until he is satisfied, he should wager the house minimum. I think betting smaller amounts is definitely the way to go. It takes a lot of time, and you're going to go through good patches and bad patches. The betting small amounts just allows you to bet for a longer time. That's really what it lets you do.
Well, you're just promoting bankroll management, which is like the quintessential
It's the most
backbone of
important
anything.
part. Picking the actual games, people are going to go 50-50, but if you mismanage how you're betting, that's how you're going to lose all your money. And Mickey, that's one of the most underrated things about fantasy football is matchups. Because a lot of people, like if you get Christian McCaffrey, like you're going to start him every week just cause, but there's always a chance that there's going to be other unheralded guys that can have really, really good games in certain matchups. Eric said one reason why he prefers the NBA is the coaches get more respect. Too many teams in the NFL fire coaches too often. The NBA has more patience. Well, the NBA is largely run by players, so the coaches are kind of just there. You guys see any good live bets in this Sunday night game? We usually stay away from live bets because there's added juice, but I'll quickly take a look and just see. We use I use Pinnacle Sports mainly, so I'm just going to check to see what Pinnacle has. The line is still pretty much the same. It's 3.5 as the live line at halftime. You're going to be losing a little bit of juice if you bet it now, but like the fat guy says, do what gives you the least regret, Dustin. When I bet live, I prefer to bet the team having a bad start. See, I've done that before, Eric, and sometimes that bad team that has a bad start just continues to have a bad game. So I don't think there's any there's nothing guaranteed, that's for sure. So betting a football line at Pinnacle before a game, you get minus 105, and betting live, you get minus 108. So you're losing those 3 points. If Dan Quinn still has his job tomorrow, then I'm convinced he has pics of Arthur Blank doing salacious things with farm animals or something like that.
I mean,
Does Arthur Blank ever go for massages in Florida?
I don't know what they do in the back of a Home Depot.
No, but we could ask Nelson.
That's true. We could ask Nelson. I always wonder, are those stores going to survive? Like, think about how much it costs to lease out such a huge building. It's a brick and mortar store. I don't know.
I would
I'm worried for
definitely.
retail. How does that happen?
I don't know. I I wouldn't say that if you don't track your bets, you shouldn't wager, but I think tracking your bets, if you want to be serious about it, is the way to go. But not everyone wants to bet seriously. Like some people just want to bet to bet. You know, the fat guy, he spends a few nights at a bar, and there's a lot of people that go in there that make bets, and it's entertainment for them. It's not even about winning or losing. Like they want to be right, but they do it for fun.
It's a trade off. So that's where is I'll trade small profit for their entertainment. That's why I don't get to pick. They always do whenever I make bets like that. It's the team they want to do. They want to pick. They put money on that team. If it works out for them, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Is it in my favor? Absolutely, in those types of spots. But it's a lot of people do it for entertainment reasons, and that's fine too. It's just different than how we are. So
Aaron Rodgers looking like Uncle Rico, throwing no look lasers. Lazard actually did an excellent job adjusting to that ball. The Heat won. Are the Heat on to the finals? I'm sorry, I don't know what that series is at. Oh, that's awesome, Eric. 10-1 and it hits,
That's
or
fantastic.
it's on its way to hitting. I'm not sure if they've actually clinched yet. for for the first time in my life, I'm a Heat fan. Rogers goes long again, and this one is good. And Mickey Hill is
Mickey Hill is cashing checks.
he is cashing
Holy,
checks.
holy.
I'm surprised that the Saints defender caught up to make that tackle, but they are going to be first and goal coming up very shortly.
This is kind of refreshing because the Packers were so, I don't want to say ho hum, but they were so conservative last year. It's nice to see them have the, I don't know, the option to kind of let it loose. And Rodgers, like Rodgers, like somehow we were down on him, and he was for a long time the best player in the NFL, and then he's almost having a resurgence here with it with these types of performances.
Why is Lazard performing on my bench? I don't know, Detroit. That's the problem with starting and sitting guys for fantasy. It'd be interesting to do a league where you don't have any bench spots. Just whoever you got
We'd be streaming the whole time.
plays. Aaron Jones is stopped on second and goal, so we're going to get third and goal for the Packers. They're on I think they're at about the 2.
Unfortunate circumstances considering the really long game. Yeah, but like no one knows Michigan though. Like it's just hard. Like in hindsight, it sounds good. Like I should have done X, Y, and Z, but they're pretty close.
Yeah, for sure, Eric.
I've been actually adding to it a little bit, Eric. It's going to take longer than I thought because you have to be like the science, like the research behind it. You have to be pretty concrete when you put something in a book. So it's going to take some time. I'd be happy to email you an outline if you put your email in the chat, just of the ideas that I'm working on.
Dylan, yeah, we're going to be starting fresh for the playoffs. So top 8 or top 4 from each league. So fourth and goal, the Packers are going to line up to go for it. And Jones gets in.
Wow. Sounds good. Oh.
Mickey, we'll just do one draft at the start of playoffs. So we've done this with the fat guy's done this with friends in the past. It's worked out really well. So we'll just do like a manual draft. We'll have to figure out how we're going to actually do it. But maybe like in a chat just like this, we'll write down everybody's names who's in.
Yeah, private chat or like we'll stream or something, and then everyone just you type in your pick. It would have to be manual, and there would be rules to it too. Like for instance, you're capped at one quarterback, So if you were I guess, is it 8 teams? So if you're the eighth pick, you'd be the ninth pick as well. You can't pick two quarterbacks in a row if they're available. So
Yeah, if your team gets out, you're screwed. So you want to pick with who you think is going to be whoever's going to put up the most fantasy points for however many games they play. So there's actually benefit in taking like a team that doesn't get a bye because they have a chance of playing 4 games, but at the same time, like the chance of them playing 4 games is not very high.
well, kind of like last year, the Saints were heavily favored, and I almost feel bad. I got lambasted because my advice was for the for people to load up on Saints players. Not that I thought they were going to win the Super Bowl last year, but I thought they had the best chance of playing multiple games. And of course, we had the bet of the century, and Dylan Todd had to drink milk with pubic hair in it, and the rest is history.
And with the new playoff format this year, it's going to be there's going to be a lot of guys to pick from, considering there's going to be 14 playoff teams, and that means what is it? 12 teams are going to be playing that first week, so there's 12 teams that could play 4 games.
Big Ryan, I'm calling it right now. Mickey Hill played very coy as far as his fantasy outlook. He's very humble and pessimistic. He is doing a fantastic job and really embracing this contest. I want to pay him 100 USD. I hope he wins. I hope we grow enough where I can pay more money next year, right?
100% true.
Yeah. I have a bunch of USD in the house. I think holding currency I found is such an interesting aspect of things. Because Canadian dollar is printing out so much to pay out its citizens. I'm really curious if we're almost in danger of hyperinflation.
So after that touchdown, the live line is now a pick 'em with slight edge towards the Saints. ESPN projects Dylan first. Yeah. If you draft your team based off of like the ESPN projections, then you're more likely to be.
They're optimistic to say the least.
Yeah. Not saying that Dylan doesn't have a good team.
Yeah, Dylan's team isn't bad either. That's the other thing.
So Saints 3rd and 5.
Almost looking like a false start, but that's obviously going to stand. Manny Sanders is an underrated player.
It's nice for them to have a receiver they can count on that's not Michael Thomas. Because you expect the Sanders will be a lot more consistent than the other wide receivers as the season goes along. Another catch for him here. Oh, that's Jared Cook.
Right on. On a fire sale Wednesday.
Sometimes you just got to shake it up. I had a year in fantasy hockey where I didn't get to draft the team, and I still built a winner out of all free agents. So it's possible. Is it likely? No, but it's possible.
What's the game of the week so far, Mickey? I mean, tomorrow we're all hoping, just as a football fan. He offered you Mostert for Ertz?
The Bills-Rams game was a lot of fun. You feel bad about the Washington football team because they lost? If I'm a fan of the Washington football team, I'm actually pretty excited with the direction that they're going. They're not going to win a ton of games this year, but they're starting to move in the right direction.
Their front seven is serious good, though.
And it is too bad that Alex Smith isn't healthy enough to play yet, but Alex Smith would make a big difference to that team.
I think it's a 7-win team with Alex Smith.
Don't get me started on trades. I think Mickey says he thinks the Ravens are going to thump the Chiefs.
I hope it's like the Chiefs-Rams game. Was it 2 years ago? That was so
like
good.
54-51.
Yeah, it was amazing. That's just the game I have in my head, hoping as a fan.
Nuclear said he would have played football, but he doesn't like showering with other men. I don't blame you.
Says you.
What's going on, Robert? Robert says he feels good about Antonio Gibson. They're still running with like 3 or 4 backs there, though. It'll be interesting to see when they actually give Gibson the reins, but it might not happen this year. If Lamar, I think he had a touch. He's had a couple touchdowns this season, but there's been a lot of. They're sharing a lot of snaps and touches in that backfield as of now. But at this point and where that team is, like they don't need to be running Gibson into the ground. It's just not worth it.
A healthy exchange in the chat. It's one of the better rivalries we have going on.
Second and 9 for the Saints.
Oh.
Like Nuclear said, sometimes reality is tough enough. You don't need fantasy. What was it picked last?
Jake Jacobs.
Screen to Kamara. He's going to be stopped short. So the Saints have a decision to make here. It's about 4th and 3, 4th and 4.
Looks promising here.
The under was the play tonight. We've got Saints minus 3.5, but there's some people in chat that bet the under 52.5 tonight.
I love it.
So 4th and 3, the Saints line up to go for it.
This looks tough.
So they're trying to get the Packers to jump. I'm not sure if they did, but there was some movement.
Looks like a false start to me.
So they're going to bring this ball back 5 yards. I'm assuming that the Saints are going to be kicking the field goal. Huh.
Huh.
I guess he didn't cross the line, so. So it's going to be a 35-yard field goal from Lutz. And it squeaks in. We've got a tie game with 5:55 left in the third quarter. That's fair enough, Mickey. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is not bet. I was going to leave this game alone until I saw the betting market. And if you've been fading the fat guy, Dylan, so far, you would have made money every week.
Correct.
I would never recommend betting every game. That's for sure, Dylan. Rams and Chargers took down my 6-team $10 parlay to win $450, and that push on Cincy would have dropped it to $250 equals total crap. That is total crap, Nuclear. And Robert, I'd agree. It's a coin flip tonight. 3.5 seems about right for these two teams.
Good question, Dylan. Well, let me take a look at the roster and let me give you a perfect or a reasonable overview, let's say.
I would say Kenyon Drake is the more valuable player between him and Lockett, but it really depends on if you need a running back more or if you need a receiver more. Yeah, Mickey, I think you mentioned that last time. It's crazy to think that the Eagles are 11, 18, and 1 against the league other than Washington and New York Giants.
big time underperformers. But I mean, I don't know if it's bad luck or poor roster. It's difficult to handicap, that's for sure.
Nuclear said, I'm thinking that push kills the William Hill perfect card contest for everyone this week too. Forgot how that works. That's another thing for betting win totals over unders, is that if teams tie, that's one less win. So usually there's 1 or 2 ties a year on average. So you got to factor in that there's usually about 254 wins when you're doing your projections rather than 256. It's also incentive to always take the unders, because usually when they come out with those over under lines, it's like 258 wins. Everyone's so overly excited to take the over on a lot of teams. 1st and 10 for the Packers.
I'm looking over Dylan's team right now. Dylan, really good job. I got to give you just a little heads up to everyone. Dylan's not playing softball. He sat Drew Brees for Justin Herbert. He's not playing favorites. Very interesting.
I think Saints by 3 is probably most likely, Mickey. But right now, Packers got the ball. And a big run from Aaron Jones for first down. I remember Aaron Jones struggled with injuries before he kind of had his career started. And there were so many write-ups about how good he was and how well he'd be running the ball. And I don't think I expected what we've seen from him so far in his early career.
He was a fumbler too, and pass pro he wasn't as good as Jamal Williams, so that stunted his usage. Oh,
a Tyler Irvin sighting. The live line I took down, but I'll pull it back up so we can follow along. Because the drive's still going, they don't have a live line up, but I'll tell you what it is once another live line pops up.
I don't know, Dylan. I think he's suspended for the first 8 games, but he's going to sign with somebody. I don't know if it's going to be the Texans. I would highly doubt that, but let me think here. That's a good idea. What team could it possibly be?
I think it would have to be a playoff contender. I don't know if the Texans are. I also don't think that's Bill O'Brien's style.
The Bills?
I think the Bills have the coaching's too good. I don't think they want to deal with them.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a fit where it would be reasonable.
I could actually see him going to Arizona. A team that
Big Hill's got a reasonable one.
Yeah, the Ravens. They already talked about it. Lamar Jackson wants him there. I think the Ravens are one of the only teams that could handle him. It really doesn't matter if he plays or not. The problem with Antonio Brown is that he's hasn't really been around teams for the last season and a half. I don't even know if you're going to get anything out of him. Terrific talent, but the guy hasn't been playing. Indy's another place. They've been having depth issues at receiver. And another
That is
special play by
unbelievable.
Aaron Rodgers. Is that Mercedes Lewis? I like how Malcolm Jenkins throw his arms up like I don't want a flag instead of just trying to make a play on the ball. Dylan said Cardinals won't make playoffs. Robert thinks Indy. Mickey says, you're right, Dylan. My lying eyes made me think they were good. You don't lose at home to Lions at home if you're good. The live line is now Packers -3.5. But at -3.5, they're +111. Saints +3.5 is -130.
If you're good, you don't lose to the Lions, period. Let's be real here.
Yeah, but teams have days off. Like, teams just have bad games. The Cardinals are not the best team in the league, but they're definitely above average. I think that was the Lions. The Lions had lost 11 games in a row. That was their first win in their last 12 games. Stafford is definitely underrated. There's a lot of talk, I know, in Detroit about whether Stafford's any good. They think he's overpaid, like from local fans.
That's silly. He's a really good player. Their roster isn't that bad. Mickey said it best. Their coaching stinks. There's just no other way to put it.
I didn't get to touch on this earlier. I'm not sure if John Stacey's still here, but he brought up a point where he doesn't think that Dan Quinn's going to get fired because of the potential that they show when they do play well at the start of games. And I feel the opposite. I feel like that's even more reason to fire Quinn because their roster isn't that bad. Like, they can get a lot done with that roster. Like, Matt Ryan is one of the best quarterbacks in football. And to not be able to get the most out of those guys is just hard to see. Robert says Golladay maybe makes a difference. Kenny Galladay's a good receiver. I don't think he actually makes that much of a difference to their win probability for games. Dylan Toddfield thinks the most underrated player in the NFL is Philip Lindsay. The Lions have made a lot of investment and a lot of personnel moves into bringing experienced defensive players in, and they're coached by what is considered one of the better defensive coaches in the league. So the Lions should have a really, really good defense. Whether that translates, it doesn't always. There's once in a while you get a game like today where they can get it done against a young player like Kyler Murray, but overall it just hasn't been good enough from the Lions coaching staff. Robert, you made the 49ers your lock of the week. You're talking about today's game, or are you talking about next week? Play action from the Saints. What I haven't looked at, Fat Guy, is the survivor pool to see if anybody lost today.
I got eliminated for not a pick. I was gonna wait for the afternoon games, and then you can't wait. So that's I guess a foul on my part.
So you're out?
Yeah.
Oh, there was a few losses today. There was 1, 2, 3, 4. Excluding yourself, there was 4 losses. People lost with the Jags, the Chargers, and the Cardinals. I moved off of the Bills last minute, and I switched to the Patriots, and the Patriots managed to win.
I'm glad you're still in at least.
Yeah. I was surprised because the Patriots only had 1.4% of people to pick them. Where's my Buccaneers? On my Buckenhead. Watch out for those Las Vegas Raiders. What's going on, Isaiah?
I like the Raiders. I hope the Raiders do well.
I just like that Abrams healthy enough to play. He's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah,
My
absolutely.
cousin lives in Atlanta, and he says the same thing. RY coach must go. Jay, I'm so dumb. I thought RY stood for something else other than my name. Like, that Falcons roster is good.
Yeah, it's not
Or it's
bad.
better
Like
than it's performing.
yes, exactly. For years.
Live line is still at 3.5 for the Packers.
They're playing so off of the receivers. They could have done it out very easily. And still a reception despite my chiding. Smith?
Nice catch from Emmanuel Sanders.
Oh, Manny, right on.
Another Excellent job from Kamara. Oh my goodness.
No way. No.
um. So that just happened. Kamara is such a special talent, but I don't know how much of that goes towards him and how much of that goes towards just terrible tackling from the Packers. Holy smokes. Even Aaron Jones can't believe it. He wants a touchdown as easy as that. And I know I'm saying, like, as easy as that. Like, it wasn't super impressive, but that was very impressive from Kamara. Dylan told us MVP. He's got to have, like, 2 plays like that every game, Dylan, to even be considered. Why is Mike Tirico doing play-by-play tonight? I'm not sure, Mickey. Isn't it usually Al Michaels on Sunday night? How about props to Eric McCoy for being a lead blocker 30 yards
rad.
downfield? Did you see the DK Metcalf touchdown, non-touchdown today?
Yes. Yes, I did. It was the new Deshaun Jackson.
It's actually funny now that you watch the replay because Kamara actually slows down to a jog to let McCoy get in front of him to be the lead blocker. Also, that's the first time I've ever seen Kamara's mouth guards up close.
Is Paul Walls?
Dylan said he's had at least 2 touchdowns every game. I just got the backdoor cover of backdoor covers, fellas, in NASCAR. I do head-to-head driver versus driver. At the very finish, the driver I had passed the guy I was competing against for 6th place. That's awesome. Oh, Al Michaels is taking some games off this year. What's going on, JD? Welcome to chat. What happens in that play?
But I lost on the Falcons too, so we're down on the juice.
Dylan, what are you talking about? What happens in that play? Do Cowboys get the ball for nothing? Fat guy, how about them Vegas Lions? I didn't back the Lions after last week, but went with the damn Falcons. I was on the Lions today, so that was a nice win. But I didn't take the money line. I took them spread. I think they were 6-point underdogs. Tirico is really good, though. Well, that's good. I have the game on mute today, so I can't actually hear the play-by-play. All that matters, Ryan, is that you finish ahead of the guy I backed had a tire cut. Hell yeah. If I had to bet on NASCAR, I think I'd have fun watching it, but I don't think I could watch NASCAR if I wasn't betting. What's going on, JD? We're doing well. After they popped it out, I thought if the ball comes out before touchdown, you don't get it anymore. Yeah, it was a safety. Or not a safety, a touchback. So, Seattle, or the Cowboys punched it out of Metcalf's hands because he wasn't in the end zone yet, and the ball went out the back of the end zone. It's a touchback, and the Cowboys get the ball at the 25 or whatever it's either 20 or 25. I can't remember off that. In fact, I went with the Falcons spread in the first quarter and first half at 0.5 1/4 spread. Cowboys got it on the 20. Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it was the 20 or 25 for those touchbacks. So I guess the 25 is just on kickoffs. In motorsports, it doesn't matter. Right before the pandemic, I started betting NASCAR. I used to be a huge fan. And NASCAR doesn't have a huge betting market, so it has soft lines and you can get some easy picks. Nice, Corey. I find the same thing about UFC. The markets just aren't quite as rich as like the NFL or baseball or basketball.
Well, they're younger too.
JD, we're not doing so well. I can't remember what our exact record is so far.
Not good.
I think we're 6-8. Let me just double check. Yeah, we're 6-8 this week. I went 4-2 today though, betting wise, so that was nice. But we still got the Saints one, so not sure yet. Formula One can be profitable as well. Are we really explaining football on this channel? I'm sure as hell trying to, but failing pretty bad. Untouchable. Maybe 25. Well, oof.
I'm too big, Dylan. It's not going to happen. I'm not as strong. I'm a pretty weak man for the size I am.
Well, both Rogers and Breeze have put up good numbers tonight. First and 10 from the Packers. So tied game, fourth quarter.
Oh, I'm losing, Mickey. I lost 40 and then I put it back on almost instantly.
How do I feel about Oklahoma making a comeback this week? I don't watch college football, so I couldn't tell you, Isaiah. John Stacey said, didn't you say you're going 80% this season, DTF?
There you go.
Oh, now he's saying 69. 40-yard dash fat guy's going to win every time between him and Dylan.
I'm actually pretty quick in that exact parameter.
We're going to get a 3rd and 5 from the Packers.
That looked like grounding to me. Pretty close to it.
Oh, there was a guy there. Just a heads-up play from Rogers. I actually don't see a lot of rookie quarterbacks making those types of throws.
Or even Baker Mayfield. There was a big one against the Bengals the other day.
Mickey's telling it how it is. We get a run from Jamal Williams on 3rd and 5, and he is very damn close. That ball might have come out. They're going to mark him down 1 yard short. It's going to be 4th and 1 for the Packers, barring any challenges here. No, I haven't talked too much about entertainment so far, Dylan. So 4th and 1, the Packers going to line up to go for this. They're almost at midfield. And they're going to take a timeout. He's wanting them to reset the clock. Oh, they did reset it, and it looks like they haven't given a timeout. This is a mess. I don't believe the Philadelphia game was fixed. I think it was two teams that just played very poorly. Can they just show the game here? Thank you.
Well, I have the Surface Mass, Jay, so I should be the favorite there.
Big play from the second effort from Marshawn Lattimore.
Wow. This game's had it all. Good scheduling, NFL. No way they're spotting that. There's no way. Oh, this would be a travesty.
Yeah, Corey, over time they've got a good quarterback with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has a lot of potential to be an excellent quarterback in this league. I got a feeling this is going to get challenged.
It should be. That's brutal. That's brutal.
Well, let's see where he gets to. He's not there, and he gets stopped short there as well. So,
I don't see it.
does he hit the 49? Not there. Not there. So
I don't see it at all.
I'm not sure how they decided on that
They
spot.
spotted it like a yard generously.
Can't believe I didn't lean on the 49ers last week. I didn't take them today. There was actually huge market factors saying to bet against the Niners this week, so I did. But the Giants looked, I think, how people thought they'd look, and I think the 49ers looked better than people thought they'd look. The Niners
Giants
were
might be
bet.
the worst team in the league.
Yeah, the Niners were bet all the way down to 3-point favorites, which was kind of surprising.
Well, they also had a
the
backup
Packers' way.
quarterback playing. Like that's part of it.
Yeah. Mullins looks better though than a couple of these team starters, so
Yeah.
it just shows you how much of a difference coaching can make. Like, could you imagine if Joe Burrow got to play on the Niners for a game, and if Nick Mullins had to play for the Bengals, or like the
We would make it
Lions
to the game playing for the
or
Bengals.
the Falcons, jeez. And Nick Bosa out. San Fran has a lot of talent out. It just shows you how good the coaching is there. And it shows you just that winning mentality. Like, they expected to win that game no matter who was playing. And then there was a play, Jeff Wilson's touchdown today. I could have scored on that play. That's how good the blocking was. He went essentially untouched until the 2-yard line. It was such an interesting play design because it was a play action stretch run, and they turned it into a screen for him. So they faked the handoff. They let all the defensive linemen run past the O-line, and then they just literally threw it over the defensive line. So they took the four biggest guys out of the play, and then they had all 5 offensive linemen blocking the rest of the team. It was excellent play design for the Jeff Wilson touchdown. Southern Miss boy Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins has played very well for how he should look, considering how little he's played. How has Dan Quinn not been fired yet tonight? Yeah, I feel like that's the first question everyone asks when they get in here. When Jerick McKinnon is your third string running back, that's a good depth team. Definitely. Kyle Shanahan has been exceptionally good with running backs everywhere he's been over the last 7-8 years.
Why is this still getting reviewed? It's a stop, like a clear stop.
Well, when every person in our chat says he was stopped, I'd
Instantly.
like to see otherwise. Dylan says, well, Fat Guy focused mainly on the RBS but not receivers. He will get clapped when we match up. He's calling you out.
Well, it's possible. If a Jaguars running back has 3 touchdowns, you will probably beat me.
James Robinson has looked excellent to start the year.
Josh.
Isn't it James?
Josh.
Josh Robinson is the name of
Yeah.
the running back on the Jags.
Unless I'm mistaken. Hold on.
I'm pulling it up. James Robinson.
Is it?
Yeah.
So I'm mistaken. Oh, Josh
Well,
Robinson's a corner. Ah.
will you guys have any factor the Bills blowing that 25-point lead today into future bets? It'll affect. It'll actually make people think that the Bills aren't as good as they are. Strangely enough, so hopefully you can get some value on the Bills, but it's unlikely. Like the Bills have played too well this season to like there's just not going to be that much edge taking the Bills from now on. Get ready for the Dylan trade storm. Also, how about Miami Raw? I was sick watching that game. I didn't bet it, but remembered you looking at it Monday, and it closed Thursday at 90% on Jags. Yeah, I liked Miami.
Oh, what?
I didn't see if that was actually a fumble, but it looks
I
like
don't
it
know if he
is
was.
by how they're celebrating.
Saints aren't protesting. They might have blown their shot here.
That's definitely a fumble.
That's a fumble. Oh, that's bad.
I just think the coaching for Miami is better than Jacksonville. And it's the Dolphins roster is actually better than Jacksonville, which is like funny to say
Hard
that
to
the
say, but
Dolphins
yeah, it's true.
are better. Um, that game opened as a pick, and I think a pick would have been the right play to have.
I will say this though. I think the Dolphins have the best secondary in the league, which sounds weird to say.
70,000 people showed up, Mickey. No, I didn't.
In Canada?
I didn't know about that. Roderick
Wow,
says the
that
fix is in. Malcolm Jenkins with a big hit, a big clean hit, I guess you could say.
I follow the Donald Trump comb over odds pretty much every day on Pinnacle, and they are swinging. Holy, he goes from reasonable favorite to like medium underdog to small underdog. It's just all over the place. He was 4.5 to
What's
1 the last time, and he won. So
what's the best and worst you've seen lately, odds wise, for him to win?
the worst I saw him, and I ended up getting that price was like plus 150
Yeah.
with somebody else, and then the best I saw him was like minus 118, I think. So I think he's a small dog right now, if memory serves me correctly. So
Well, it's sounding close odds wise.
yeah, it's very interesting. American politics are so bizarre.
Malcolm Jenkins hasn't missed a snap since week 17 of 2017. That is crazy. That's very impressive for a defensive player.
You're getting your bang for your buck with him.
don't know how good Taylor is, but Colts have a great O line. What you can bet on if Trump has a comb over? No, you can bet if he wins the election.
He most certainly does. Most certainly does have a go over. I don't know why he's so polarizing though. He's not like he's just full of himself. You can't I don't know why people hate him that much. He's not Hitler. Like he's just he's a president. He's a politician.
Well, he's a brand, and then everybody just talks about him. Like all the news is polarizing because that's what people.
It is, and it's so
That's what
bizarre to me.
brings
I
in.
find him actually pretty mild mannered, which is funny. Like,
Yeah.
like I actually find him pretty moderate, almost center left as far as politics go, and he just gets smashed on so much.
And the blitz gets to Rogers. He has to throw one away. It's going to be 3rd and 7 for the Packers.
Even if people don't like him, Mickey, I think he ran the best campaign strategy of all time. He only spent like $90 million, which sounds that's a lot of money. Hillary spent like 1.2 billion, and he still won the election as a huge underdog. I don't know. To me, that's kind of like he was shrewd financially probably because it hurt his bottom line. So I don't know. I found that very, I don't know, impressive just for such an underdog to make such a big impact on anything. And that's regardless of whether you like him or not. So I found that to be impressive. Oh, he absolutely did, Jay. Like he abused them, and it was, I don't know, it was almost refreshing to me.
We're going to have a 49-yard attempt from Crosby. And it looks good.
That was an ugly field goal. Holy.
Packers go up 3. And I think that's why you get such a polarizing opinions on him. Exactly what Mickey said. We need
Also
a New
education,
Orleans
Mickey.
touchdown here. Oh, yeah, he said that at the end. Colleges.
Oh, he did say
Social
colleges,
media.
yeah. Democracy isn't perfect, but I do like the idea of it. I don't mind if someone has a different opinion of mine and they vote on their beliefs. So I don't know. It feels like it's not. I don't know. It's not necessarily fair in the states a lot of the time. As far as history wise, though, I'm showing my colors here, but I was a big Ronald Reagan fan, and he was an actor. He was the president of the Screen Actors Guild, so I always thought that was funny.
Oh, SAG?
Yeah, he was. Ronald Reagan was president of SAG, and then I think he was the governor of California, if I'm not mistaken. His war on drugs policy brutally failed, I feel, but everything else was pretty decent. He beat communism with economics. I mean, that's pretty impressive. No one's perfect, though.
Yeah, Mickey. People are just trying to sell whatever is going to get watched.
Well, it's sensationalized. My parents are the best example of this. Is my dad loves Donald Trump. My mom hates him more than anything in the world. And somehow they live under the same roof and they swallow the same. My dad likes Fox News, and my mom likes CNN. I think they're both out to lunch, but that is what it is. Yeah, everything's out
I
of whack a little bit in
I,
the states. They're untouchable, Jay.
I feel like whatever Mickey just said is really funny, but I don't get the reference at all.
Um, Joseph Goebbels is I don't need to. It's he wore a brown suit with a red patch on the a brown outfit with a red patch on his arm. He
Yeah.
was a minister of propaganda, in the 30s and 40s for a socialist party.
Okay. And who's Edward R. Murrow?
I actually don't know Edward R. Murrow. I'm assuming someone mild because he's um, weighing them against each other.
The Corey, you know what I love about the George W. Bush stuff is when 9/11 happened and his approval rating skyrocketed to like 90%, like higher than any president of any time ever. I always found that interesting. Yeah, the meteor ain't gonna get us. We're gonna get ourselves. Yeah. The pandemic has changed the USA forever. Government has now gained so much power.
Oh, he's a
And
newsman back
newsman
from back
from.
in the day.
Oh,
We
okay.
don't really get political here, but I will say this though. I think America is awesome and freedom is awesome and like I don't know, like hating on America and stuff like that, it just doesn't strike a chord for me. I'll give you an instance. We're Canadian. I'm first generation. My dad can barely read and he's a reasonably wealthy man. Like the dream still lives, If it lives in here in Canada, it lives in America. And I don't know, I just don't like hating on freedom. It's yeah, just trashing a country that's stood for so much. And even if you don't like them and America's at the top, somebody has to be, And I'd much rather America be number one than China or Russia, in my opinion. I think America rocks and the people rock. I'm just positive about it. I don't like hating on it.
Important tackle from the Packers there. I think it's about 3rd and 5 now for the Saints. There's 8 minutes left in this game. Kamara sneakily has 11 receptions this game for 136 yards and 2 touchdowns. He adds another one here. And this play is going to be stopped short. 4th and 5 from their own
Ooh, that's
30-yard line. I'm
unfortunate.
guessing that the Saints are going to be punting.
They're gonna have to make a stop here on defense. Turnover even. It's even that desperate. Corey, I don't think anyone will actually do anything. I think it's just more posturing. Like I don't actually think there's a danger, but I just like I said, I don't like hating on America. I think it's done a lot of bad, but it's done more good than bad, and it just represents freedom, and who doesn't love that?
It's not an excellent punt from Morstead, so the Packers are going to start off with some good field position to start this
They're gonna need a three
drive
and out
up
here pretty
3,
much, Big Rye,
pretty much, at
for
least
a cover
for
at least.
covering. But they just need to hold them to no points for the chance to go ahead late with a touchdown.
No, it's all right, Mick. We have to branch out a little bit. You know, for me, it's a little bit more dangerous because it's some of the stuff I just said now isn't cool with everybody, but I respect their opinions. It's just different. That's just how I think about it. You know.
Yeah, right now at Pinnacle, Donald Trump is plus 117. So if you like him at even zaps, there's even more value at plus 117.
Yes, Matt Patricia, regardless of who's in office, Matt Patricia sucks.
And live line Packers are now minus 260 to win.
Ooh, yikes. Libya is a funky country, Corey. That's a really good friend of mine is from there. He's there right now. It's it's tribal and it's pretty dangerous. Yeah, I guess we are. It's I, I don't know. Liking freedom is contrarian. We'll call it that. Yeah. Oh, and hating communism. I always get interested when people argue about communism. It sounds like a great idea, except it's just never worked ever, and it's gone horribly wrong every time. So I just don't trust it. The data set doesn't back it up. They're showing a PA here with Packers, and I'll give them credit. It does look pretty close. This is an important down though. They got the Saints need a 3-and-out if we want to cover here. That's not going to help. Whoa, big shot. I like how Jay Sternberger is the crux of the Packers offense the last 2 drives.
Well, it's just probably what they're leaving open from the Saints' perspective is if anyone's going to beat us, it's going to be him making catches, and he's getting it done.
That's a beautiful run. That looked like holding on 13 on
Yeah.
Lazard. That looked like a
Lattimore
hold.
was trying to get them to call it.
That fumble really messed this game up. Saints had such a good chance.
Well, that's why turnovers play such a huge part in winning and covering spreads.
What do you think the win probability exchange was on that big ride? 18?
Well, what's even to 260?
There you go. There's some smart math. It's more than 18. Free play for Aaron Rodgers.
And if anything, yeah, another flag for the end zone.
He can't win. Oh, JJ.
Yeah, I totally agree. Untouchable Jay. That was a really good play by Rodgers. The really good quarterbacks, usually the experienced quarterbacks, they take advantage of those plays. But there's not that many guys that are aware enough to know when there's a hold or something going on.
Dylan's Saints are going to be 1-2 possibly. It's hard to believe. That's one way of putting it, Corey. Uh, as a Canadian, I'm disgusted with I don't know, with our fiscal I guess management. I guess the pandemic is a crisis or whatever. We're literally hyperinflating our money. At least I think so. We'll see if that actually happens. Touchdown Packers. Is that Jamal Williams? All right.
They were short there. It's 2nd and goal.
Oh, I saw the referee put his arms up, so I guess I was preemptive.
I was gonna say I expect them to non-aggressively run the ball in these first 2 downs. Just run the clock.
Why throw that? Is it a flag? Oh
It is
my.
a flag. It looks like it's gonna be on Jenkins.
JJ getting 2 flags. You could kneel it here twice and then run it. And that would probably be the most plus EV thing. That sounds so weird to say, but big sell job there, eh? 83? Holy. Well, my props suck. Just a bad day. Well, it's for some, it's been a very bad day. Sometimes you lose. That's got to be in.
They marked him short. He looked like he reached over the line, but he might have been down before he actually got there. He's short, short, short. The ball's in. It doesn't look like he's down. I think if they challenge this, they might get the touchdown. It looks like they're challenging this play. Yep.
Unfortunately, Corey, a lot of life is optics, and you know how you look and how you sound. You know that's what made Obama so popular. He's the best speaker I've ever heard in my life. Best speaker. I don't agree with his policies, but he sounds great. Up here in Canada, we had a great politician, and his name was Stephen Harper. He's the most dislikable, ugly, loser-looking type guy. You'd never want to hang out with him. But his policies were great, and he did a great job. But optics is everything, so he's not remembered as such. He's more remembered as someone that's, I guess, conniving, even though that really wasn't his type of personality, you know. But if if you don't have charisma, it's tough to make it in that game. Jets versus Broncos is most definitely a 5-star game. That's fantastic.
Yeah, the Broncos are traveling to New York to take on the Jets. The Jets are 2.5 point underdogs at home. 13% of bettors are on the Jets, but 37% of the money is on the Jets. So if the line stays at 2.5, there's good value in taking Jets money line. But good luck watching this game.
Yikes. Yeah. 5-star game for entertainment value. Lions
Broncos
legend
had,
Briscoe.
The Broncos had Rippon come in to finish the game at quarterback. Jets, Jets.
So wheeling and dealing is transpiring in the comment section.
Imagine if Adam Gase got his hands on Jeff Driscoll.
Y'all got any more of them Nathan Petermans? You know what's funny? Me and Big Rye liked Nathan Peterman in the preseason.
I still
And then
like
that
him.
Bills game was I felt bad how much worse. Most of his INTs, I think two or three of the 5 were tipped balls, but yikes! Could you run any worse?
Oh, Bortles played at the end for Vegas too.
I didn't see that. That's interesting.
I didn't watch the end of that game. I turned it off once the Pats were up enough. Peterman revenge game next week versus the Raiders.
Thought he was on the Raiders.
Well, I guess it's where is it? Bills at Raiders.
It'd be a good redemption
did
story.
they mark it short? It looks like they've marked it short. Green Bay's down a timeout.
Harder for the Saints here.
Terrific play
Yes,
design.
Burger again.
It's Tanyan.
Oh, Robert Tonyan. Oh, Peterman's revenge against the Bills. Okay, that would be fun.
That would be something.
Jaws 3, Nathan Peterman's revenge. How do you make 3 movies about a shark?
It's the creativity of Hollywood.
Oh, absolutely. Nothing gets old there. And you were underestimating him, Big Rye. The next Fast and the Furious is in space. So I'm sure I'll bring I'll buy some popcorn. I'll head to the
Is
box
it
office.
actually?
Yeah, I'm not even joking.
Sharknado's underrated. I'm a big fan of Birdemic, Shock and Terror.
I knew that was coming.
When Peterman won the job in 2018, his starters were Andre Holmes, Kelvin Benjamin, and the recently cut Jeremy Curley.
Yikes.
Cali had a fire-nado a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, there's big time fires in California.
Oregon, Washington. I love the first Fast and Furious. It was my favorite movie since it came out, and really hate how they've ruined the series. I don't know if you can say they ruined the series.
When it came on, I was in high school. I did like the first one, but it's I don't know. I don't think it was worthy of a sequel. That's for sure.
I don't know. The ghost of Paul Walker is still like my deity.
Yeah.
Ravens scored as soon as possible their first 2 drives. Are you talking about when they played Peterman? Just got your deal, Dylan. ... I gotta hear this, Untouchable Jay. What did he offer? It's hard to believe Drew Brees is 24 for 28 with 3 touchdowns and they're still down by 10. Debbie Does Dallas is a fine film. Almost picked off.
That would have went the distance.
Drake and Chark for Lockett and MVS. It will be nice. At least Peterman did have Zay Jones.
Zay Jones had a touchdown on Monday. You getting some garbage time Breeze here? Maybe a watermelon kick?
Ron Jeremy should have won the Oscar that year.
If Ron Jeremy's in a little bit of hot water there, Mickey Hill.
I heard he had like 20 allegations against him.
It's something like that. It's not looking good, Big Rye. Well, he's such a marketable, handsome guy, you know. You'd never think.
The opening day Ravens are like the 3-1 Nuggets. I'd prefer Drake out of anyone, but I value running backs higher than I value receivers.
I was trying to think of wholesome celebrities when he brought up Ron Jeremy. Drew Brees has got to be up there as far as Mount Rushmore of like perceived stand-up guys.
On the contrary, Mickey, I think Fat Guy's probably made 10,000 bets in his life, and when is enough enough?
Oh.
It's going to be 4th and short here. It's going to be interesting to see what they decide to
Everyone's
do.
got a mice. Everyone's got a vice, Vicky. Ugh. Everyone's got a vice, Mickey. You know, sometimes you can't keep the cat in the bag.
The Saints are probably going to have to burn a timeout here. People hate Drew Brees because he said he wouldn't kneel.
I think he changed his stance on that. It's interesting that's those decisions are so polarizing. You know, no one respects anyone's decision to do anything.
Well, there's always going to be people that hate him, no matter what he said.
Yeah, that's true too.
Stance on either side. There's always going to be someone upset.
Yeah.
They tried to run Brees out of the league over the nonsense. Oh, really? Yeah. Well, what do you think it would take for an owner to go, yeah, we don't want Brees. Let's get rid of him?
I don't know. I think in today's America, if you say something uncouth, that's probably enough.
The Saints with the right play here to kick the
That
field
was an
goal.
ugly kick. Boy, was that an ugly kick.
So we've got a pending onside kick. Saints are down 7. A career high 197 scrimmage yards for Alvin Kamara.
That's surprising to me, actually. I thought it would have been more.
I thought so too, but here we are. They're showing the play clock winding down, but Packers were able to get all this done without Devontae Adams today. Precious Memories. I'm not aware of the song Precious Memories. Is it by Alan Jackson or Jim Reeves?
I think it's a country song there, Big Rye. He's joking.
I thought we could get in
we didn't want to
tune.
insult you, so we were taking you seriously.
I thought we might be able to get in tune with your love life. I say a lot of serious things too, and then I just tell people it's a joke at the end. Morstead is looking good with his.
I have the same haircut as he does.
This is going to be short.
That's the game.
That is the game. So the Saints do not cover. The Packers win outright. We move to 6-9 for the week. Let's
10-5 is a great record. We have some serious catching up to do. Dylan Saints are 1-2. Yikers.
I believe Show Me Your TDs is Jamie. Well, that's a nice win for the Packers, who go to 3-0 for the year. The crowd is 10-5. Congrats, Mickey.
LaFleur's got a really nice win record here.
He's done a really good job with the defense, and Rodgers doesn't seem like he's taken any sort of regression with Fleur as the coach.
Well, last year wasn't like a shining example, but this year he's gangbusters. So, I mean, maybe it was just adjusting to systems. Who knows?
Yeah. Mickey, nice. You're 28-19 for the season. That's an
That's
excellent
a
start.
very good record, Mickey Hill.
Have a good night, Dylan.
See you tomorrow, Dylan. I think we're going to sign off here. Big Ryan and I are going to do some brainstorming at a minimum.
Thanks for joining us, guys. You guys all have a good night, and we'll catch